Let's talk about load testing for your defensive ammo in your firearm for a moment. Obviously, you want to make sure that the ammo you pick for defensive use cycles and functions your weapon properly without causing malfunctions. You also want to make sure that it's sufficiently accurate out of the weapon you choose as well. But both of those are only part of the equation. You also have to make sure that the terminal ballistics out of your defensive gun are sufficient to help you in the situation if you need it. Now, it's not just about what the load is chambered in. Like, for instance, this is a 9mm pistol, and so is this. However, this has a short barrel, and this has a 5-inch barrel. Here we have two revolvers chambered in 357, but obviously the barrel length on this one is drastically different than the barrel length on this one. So every round ballistically has a window of performance. And if it's traveling either too fast or too slow, it's not going to expand properly and function like the manufacturer is intended. So a round that is traveling fast enough to expand properly and have sufficient terminal ballistics out of a weapon with a short barrel may now be traveling too fast for that window of performance and be out of it in a weapon with a longer barrel. So you have to test your load for the specific handgun you're going to use it in. How do we do this? Obviously, we use ballistic gelatin. When I worked on the Chicago Police Department, we relied on testing that had been done by the federal government using ballistic gelatin to determine terminal ballistics. That isn't always available for the round and the firearm you're going to be using. But the good news is now Clear Ballistics has gelatin that is commercially available on the civilian market. Now you can buy a block of this ballistic gelatin, take it to the range, and test your defensive load in the firearm you're going to use it in and see if it falls within that window of performance and functions like the manufacturer intends. You can also take this one step further towards realism by not just shooting it with bare gelatin like this, but putting clothing typical of the climate you live in front of the gelatin. Clothing does have an effect on ballistics and how bullets perform. So if I live in, say, Anchorage, Alaska, or I live in Miami, Florida, the clothing that is going to be worn typically is going to be very different in both climates. I need to test it based on the climate I'm living in and the clothing people commonly wear. So if you're truly serious about personal defense, defending yourself, defending your family, you should be testing your defensive ammunition in gelatin. It's really not something that is optional, it's something that is mandatory so that you know the effects of the round you're carrying.